There it is.
48.
That's the Trump sign.
Hey, alright, let's do it. Are we going to get the big one or the little one?
You can choose.
Are you keen to go for the big sign?
Huh?
We've driven all the way out here, so we might as well try and take a decent scalp.
Yeah, but I want to see a what?
Are you sure are you sure we can get the big sign?
As in, get it out of the ground?
I don't know if we can.
Did you see the ease with which I pulled the little sign out of the ground?
No, that was not
Okay,
easy. Oh, somebody's coming!
It wasn't coming out of the ground.
It wasn't?
No, it was on
That's
icy.
now we have to leave this house because
And it was
we just
like-
did that. We've got an iron for it. How do you feel?
Fantastic. You dog. That was adrenaline.
Was it?
Yeah.
While covering the New Hampshire primary, we met some Australian volunteers working for the Bernie Sanders campaign. We found them pulling down opposition yard signs.
It's illegal.
It's illegal?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know why, but I think it's just like illegal to move or tamper with or like do anything to campaign signs. Mate, I'm so sorry. This is like
Yeah, you'll just speak to them.
I just really miss my family and I thought I'd tear some signs down.
You know, you could be like, oh, I didn't know we weren't supposed to do this.
Yeah. For example, Hugo would probably be like, oh, you can't do that, like it's legal, don't be stupid. And then he'd be like, but seriously, it's a fucking great idea. Putting down all the Trump signs.
He's talking about Hugo Palma. He was the Bernie Sanders field director in Manchester, New Hampshire. In our latest video, we revealed that Hugo violated New Hampshire voting laws by registering to vote illegally. Our report led to an investigation into the fraud by New Hampshire's Attorney General. It seems that election rules and laws don't mean much to the folks in the Sanders campaign.
I explained.
Yeah, he did.
We're all going to go out
He was very helpful
and
on
together and burn down Trump signs and. That was like a
Viva la revolution.
Sorry, what?
I did steal a Hillary sign.
What'd you do with it?
Threw it in the car and drove off.
He stole a Hillary sign.
What? You're awesome.
Bit cheeky, a bit cheeky.
And then at the end of the night, we'll have like a million Trump
Well, we're
signs.
gonna, you like,
The problem is, taking and destroying yard signs is illegal. Here is the law, quote, "No person shall remove, deface, or knowingly destroy any political advertising which is placed on or affixed to public property or any private property. The legislature has established a civil penalty of up to $1,000 per violation for removing, defacing, or destroying political advertising on private property."
so how do you feel after destroying a Hillary sign?
It felt really good. It was actually like stuck in the ground more than I expected.
Yeah, I saw you.
Yeah, and I used my right hand, which is my weak hand, and it was really hard. I think I pulled a muscle.
Is it illegal to take them?
I think it is. Like, it definitely is back home.
You know a lot about American laws.
I guess a lot. From what I've been told, people have told me that you can't do it.
Who told you?
I can't remember who now. Just people in the campaign.
Was it somebody on the Bernie campaign?
Yeah.
They said that you can't do it.
But you know, Bernie's about honesty.
What?
Bernie's about honesty and saying you to the establishment. You know, this is pretty naughty. Don't tell the police, but I've like switched Hillary Clinton literature doors with Bernie Sanders literature.
So you took the Hillary Sanders?
Is that illegal?
Yes. Technically.
We kept meeting up with these young Australians in the Bernie Sanders campaign. When we heard why and how they came to be in the U.S., we were really curious.
Who do you coordinate with?
The Australian Labor Party.
No, but on the American side.
There wasn't much coordination. We got picked up from the airport in Manchester by Thorpe,
So, but who?
the director of operations, and he was like, "So, what are you guys doing here?"
Really?
And we were like, "We thought you knew what we were doing here."
So the Americans, you kind of just got sent here.
Yeah.
And Americans didn't even really know what was going on.
No.
So it was all your party.
Yes. They knew we were coming, and they knew they had to give us a house, but not much else. They thought we were only here for 4 days.
What?
Yes.
So the Australian Labor Party they set everything up.
Well, they paid for our flights. They
Oh.
paid for the cost of accommodation, which is just the staff house. And then we also get a $60 stipend a day.
Oh, they paid for the staff house?
Well, they didn't pay for the whole staff house. They paid any costs that were needed to cover our accommodation.
The Australians were warned not to post their activities on social media. The concern was that the Conservative government in Australia wouldn't be too happy about how Australian tax dollars were being spent to help elect Bernie Sanders president of the United States.
So, like my flights and my like travel allowance and all that is paid for technically by the taxpayer. So they've had issues in the past where like if I put up a photo of myself with the Statue of Liberty and like the next morning it would be on the front page of a newspaper and they'd be like, you know, like 21-year-old student uses taxpayer money to go on holiday, like what a disgrace. I mean, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing here because the money's literally given to us for that sole reason, but if we post on social media, it gives the current government an excuse to get rid of the program to save money, if that makes sense.
Because you're helping an American election?
Not just that, like, because I'm like overseas and having a great time and etc. etc.
Are there people who like are she kind of like unhappy with the fact that you're helping Bernie?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Why?
Because not everyone's left wing, but I mean there would be people that are like upset that their taxpayer money is going to like people going overseas
To like help
to, like,
campaigns.
yeah.
Ben Kremer told us that there were volunteers working across the country for Bernie Sanders, all paid for by the Australian Labor Party with Aussie tax dollars.
So, but you guys are like in other states too, though, right? So that they have.
Yeah.
Which states?
Nevada, New Hampshire, Iowa, South Carolina, and there's one more. It is awesome. Like I couldn't afford to be here if they didn't pay for it. So
If the Australian taxpayers didn't pay for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
You should send them all a thank you card.
I should. That's a lot of people to thank.
Yeah, it's like an exchange program. So it's
Oh.
so the equivalent of the Democrats in Australia is called the Labor Party.
Yeah.
And they've sent us over.
They sent you over
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It's an awesome experience.
Yeah. So it's like an exchange program, so could we like...
That's right. So we're here
other
for a month.
people?
We're here for five weeks. I'm working with one of the officers, so I'm working this one.
So did you have to like pay for to like be here?
No, they paid for us. So.
They paid for you to be here?
So when they paid for our tickets and they go to those. No.
Oh, it was a cut dinner.
No. From Australia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The Labor Party paid for them.
Yeah.
Federal election law is clear. Foreign nationals can volunteer for campaigns, but they must not be compensated. The fact that these Australian volunteers had their airfare paid for and that they are receiving a daily stipend as well as getting their housing paid for is a problem. It is especially a problem because the money is foreign money. Prohibition. It shall be unlawful for 1. A foreign national directly or indirectly to make a contribution or donation of money or other thing of value, or to make an express or implied promise to make a contribution or donation in connection with a federal, state, or local election. 2. A person to solicit, accept, or receive a contribution or donation.
But we got our tickets paid.
So the campaign still like helps you with housing.
Yeah.
But that's supposed to be like, expensive to like be in Las Vegas.
Oh, well, most volunteers here get some accommodation from the campaign.
I know, but like for food and like stuff like that.
Oh yeah, we got a food allowance as well.
Oh, you do? From the Labor Party?
Yeah.
So why Bernie? Like, how did you pick that?
We didn't actually, so the party chose.
The payments are an in-kind campaign contribution to the Bernie Sanders campaign. Foreign nationals are prohibited from spending more than $1,000 on travel expenses. Round-trip air travel from Australia to New Hampshire and Nevada is well over $1,000. And that is not including the other payments made by the Australian Labor Party to the Sanders volunteers.
You're here with the Australian exchange program, right?
Yes, I am.
That's awesome. Like, what? I'm confused about what that is, though.
So basically our political party, the Labor Party has like an international branch called Labor International.
Oh, it's part of the international branch.
Oh, it's not really an international branch, it's like a branch of the Australian Labor Party that runs international programs. And one of the programs was this, so I was asked to, someone asked me if I wanted to apply for it, so I did, and I got in.
Rich Pelletier is the national field director for the Bernie Sanders campaign. We spoke to him on the phone. And you said they came all the way from Australia.
Yeah.
And how many of them were there?
I want to say we have 5 of them here in Nevada.
Great. Wow. I mean, are they in other states as well, or just Nevada?
Just Nevada right now. So some of them came out to Iowa, and then they wanted to continue on, so they came out here.
Okay, I met a one of them, I think, in New Hampshire, a Ben Kramer.
Oh yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. So you have international 5 in New Hampshire, and is that like an exchange program, or how does that work?
No, they just wanted to come out, so they just came out.
And they're working.
So they were connected with the campaign. Yeah.
Who paid for their airfare?
I honestly don't know.
Is there any issue in foreign nationals working like for a presidential campaign, or is that something that you guys are fostering?
As long as they're volunteering, right? So, or unless they have their work visa.
Got it. Are you paying any of these volunteers, particularly the Australians, or are they
I
paid?
don't think the Australians are being paid.
They're not being paid by the Sanders campaign, but according to Sandeep Sarath, 3 of the Australians working for Bernie in Nevada were being paid by the Australian Labor Party.
That's so cool. So you must be really involved in Australian politics.
Reasonably, like most of us are. Out of the 4 of us, 3 of us are full-time employees. I'm not. I'm actually a volunteer, but
Yeah.
I've done a lot of volunteering.
That's so
How
cool.
about you guys?
The idea that some of these Australians might be staff employees of the Australian Labor Party could also be judged as another illegal in-kind foreign contribution to the Bernie Sanders campaign. So we're standing outside the Bernie Sanders headquarters here in South Carolina, and this is...
Simone Sanders.
And you work with Bernie in what capacity?
I am the National Press Secretary and no relation.
So the Federal Election Commission thinks that the foreign volunteers, that's considered an in-kind contribution to the campaign. Do you have a comment about potential FEC violations made by some of these foreign volunteers?
Well, I'm not too well versed on what you just noted.
If it is true that these Australians were paid by a foreign political party to come to the United States to work for the Sanders campaign, does the Sanders campaign going to report that to the FEC?
Well, I'm not sure about any particular Australians.
One more question about an individual named Hugo Palma in New Hampshire who's currently being investigated by the Attorney General of New Hampshire, and the town clerk of Manchester also corroborated that he voted improperly at the campaign headquarters. Is that something that you'd like to comment about?
Well, I can't help you with that right now.
But he's being investigated by the Attorney General for fraud. That's not something that the campaign...
That's not something I'm familiar with. I'm sorry.
Okay. We have a Federal Election Commission violation. We have voter fraud in New Hampshire, violations. The Attorney General is looking into it. These election officials have got to investigate these crimes. We have more coming out. Stay tuned. Our job is to bring Veritas to the Vulgate, or truth to the people. Looks like it's going to storm here, and that's just a metaphor of what's going to happen Saturday.